Okay, we're good to go. Good morning, everyone. If I can ask you to take your seats, and we'll begin our launch event. My name is Douglas Morrison. I'm the President and CEO of the Centre for Excellence in Mining Innovation, CEMI, and the Network Director for the Mining Innovation Commercialization Accelerator Network. This morning I want to recognise that we're standing on the land that is the traditional territory of the Mississauga of the Credit, Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, Haudenosaunee and Wyandot peoples, and that this land is now the home to many First Nations, including Inuit and Métis. And for all of you out who are joining us on Zoom, just take a few seconds to consider the communities on whose traditional territories you now stand. Secondly, I'd like to thank our sponsors for helping us put on this launch event today. So first and foremost, we have Glencore, and then we have Naturalia, Echion, Greenland, Itasca, Hyperion, and Enerburn. And I hope through the day you'll be able to spend some time with those organizations and find out what they do. So thank you very much to our sponsors for helping us with this event. So welcome to the launch, bienvenue, Annie. And now I'm going to hand you over to my two colleagues, Sherry Greasley, who's the Vice President of Business Administration, and Charles Nyabezi, who's the Vice President of Business Development, the people who actually make this thing run. And I'm going to leave the stage and leave it to them to take you forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Douglas. I'm just going to do a few housekeeping items first. So the exits for everybody are out either one of the doors to the room, go down the stairs into the main lobby in case of an emergency. The washrooms are just out the doors past the stairwell on this floor and to the left. That's where the washrooms are. And then as far as protocols, I think everybody knows, but while we're in the room and you're seated at your table or you're eating, you're welcome to take your mask off. If you need to go into the common areas for either the coffee break or the washrooms or something, it's just to put your mask back on in the common areas.
Thank you. All right, I'm here to talk to the people on Zoom. Thank you everybody for joining on Zoom. Please feel free to use the Zoom chat box if you have any questions to ask us as we are speaking, but we will definitely answer all the questions near the end of today's presentations. We also ask that if you're more comfortable with emailing your questions, please email your questions to info@cemi.ca. That's info@cemi.ca. Thank you for that. Okay, now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our main partner and CEMI video, where we went around the country through Zoom, of course, and got all our main partners to say a few words about Mica. And please enjoy the video.
So the objective of the Mica network was to set up a place where small to medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, who do most of the innovation in the mining sector and who do most of the innovation in most of the other industrial sectors across the country, we wanted to create a space where they could network with one another, and more importantly, we wanted the non-mining innovators to interact with the mining innovators. We know there's a great deal more innovation taking place in all the other sectors of the economy. And so we're actually missing out. The mining industry is missing out by not being fully aware of all the other things that are being done.
Canada is a very large country. It's geographically fragmented into several areas, even though it's, by current standards, a very united country. One of the challenges that creates is, how do we connect up the parts? How do we play on the big stage, even though many of our centres are working on different problems, many of our companies are working in different jurisdictions and in different commodity groups. So how do we bring it all together to make it more than the sum of the parts? And previously we've had initiatives that are fairly localised. They haven't been pan-Canadian, and now we have this opportunity through Mica for a truly Canadian innovation network, and the timing is perfect. We're about to enter into an era of mining which is unique in history. We have to produce, for example, as much copper in the next 30 years as we've produced in the whole of human history. So it's mining's time, and it's also time for Canada to lead.
Are unique across the country given the vast geographies that we all operate in. And so participating in Mica gives Initech Alberta the opportunity to partner with members from other provinces who are working to address technical, scientific, and engineering challenges that the industry experiences across the country, and identifying learnings and potential solutions that can benefit everyone.
You know, we've got a long history with uranium, more recent history since the late 60s in potash, and we continue to look forward to develop new commodities like lithium, rare earths, the diamond industry. And so it's important for us to be plugged into what's going on in the world in terms of equipment, exploration, mining methods in both the hard rock and soft rock. So, you know, we're fairly outward looking. We have a small population, a big geography, and we need to investigate and adopt other people's strategies when we initiate, grow, and expand these industries.
Mars will play an active role in bringing the innovation and impact mindset to the Mica network. We support roughly 1,400 startups across the country, and 250 of those startups reside within our clean tech sector. And so Mars will play a very unique role in enabling some of these clean tech companies to get access to the network that Mica is building to drive the adoption of technology, to enable these startups to raise capital and grow their business across the country.
Un réseau national, c'est important pour relever les défis de notre industrie. Donc, ces défis sont mondiaux, comme la transition énergétique, l'adoption de technologies numériques, par exemple. Donc, nous devons travailler ensemble pour rester compétitifs à l'échelle mondiale et encore plus déployer nos technologies sur les marchés internationaux.
So for a long time, that was an industry that, at least in my background back at home, had some sort of like resistance to adhere to new technologies, such as the ones we are developing here in the college. So this network really allows us to support mining here in the country of Canada and to support local partners to adhere to those new kind of technologies, to better understand it, and to take the best that they can out of it.
The one thing I would say about Mica is that it is focused on innovation. It's not focused on research, which is quite distinct from innovation. Innovation is about building a successful business based on a new product or service that may well have come from research, but it's not the research process. Innovation is the technical refinement of that research result into a permanently successful, commercially viable business.
Okay, I'd like to take a minute now to introduce our first special guest. So Mark Sette was recently re-elected for a third term as the Member of Parliament for the riding of Nickel Belt. He's the former Parliamentary Secretary to the Ministers of Natural Resources and Rural Economic Development, and has been a member of the Standing Committee on Natural Resources since 2015. Mark is a proud Francophone and Métis. Mark's engaged and grassroots approach to politics has helped ensure the delivery of historic investments for Nickel Belt. He continues to strive for more support for families, broadband, seniors issues, infrastructure, the environment, and other key priorities outlined by his constituents. We at CEMI have witnessed firsthand Mark's tireless efforts. This past July, we were fortunate to have Mark announce the funding award of $40 million for Mica in Sudbury. and we are very pleased to have him here today to participate with us. Please welcome Mark.
Bonjour, Annie. Good morning. Wow, it's great to be here today. Thank you for inviting me. And also, it's great to be in person, alive, in front of a podium. I didn't really oddly, know I missed the podium that much, but obviously I miss the interaction with all of you. I miss the interaction with getting things done. And it's really a testament here of the work that CEMI has done and building the network. So thank you for being here. Thank you for participating also in Zoom. And also I'd like to acknowledge that the territories, as Doug mentioned, and also Toronto area is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit, which we owe sharing the lands, the resources, and we owe to our Indigenous people to do more. Thank you, Doug, Charles, Sherry, Diane, the entire team of CEMI for persevering over the years. And now building the network that we have here in front of us with Mica. Obviously, the last time I was here in Toronto was at PDAC 2020, like many of you. Lots have happened since. But the timing of the announcement today, the timing of the launch is really important. Important in many ways, but also important that this is happening today because of the sponsors that were outlined earlier. Thank you for the sponsors for providing the opportunity for us to meet in person and by Zoom. When we look at business development, the economic perspective, when we look at Mica and the level that this is going to bring, in the mining sector, we all know how robust, cutting edge, innovative, and also looking at as Canada as a mining brand, renowned in the world. But it's renowned in the world. Why? Because of people like you. You've made a difference in the mining industry, not only in economic sustainability, creating green jobs, Indigenous, but also looking at that innovation and job creation, which is so important as we move forward. And mining industry, Canada will not attain net zero emissions without a strong, robust mining industry. And thank you, Mica, for providing that leadership with all of the local SMEs. When we look at SMEs across the country and the role that they do for research, innovation, fostering the development and building networks and partnerships, that's why Mica will play a major role. And the outlining of the partnerships that we have here in this room and on Zoom, from BC to Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, Quebec, Newfoundland, Atlantic. It's really an impressive group of organizations that not only look at small businesses, but link to colleges and universities, the small business. So I'm really proud to be part of a government that supported the initiative. We all know over the years, the conversations we've had with superclusters and different industries, but we all know that ecosystems, clusters, job creation happens in the regions, happens in the outlining the partnerships that we have here. That's where the jobs will be created in the future. Obviously, the financial market here in Toronto is important on the mining industry, but the key is for small businesses to be involved, small businesses to grow and have a network to build and be part of moving forward. Alors, c'est vraiment un grand plaisir d'être ici aujourd'hui pour reconnaître l'importance de l'industrie minière au Canada, de reconnaître l'importance de chacun d'entre vous, de faire une différence pour non seulement la création d'emplois, de relance de l'économie, mais aussi regarder un environnement plus propre, un environnement qui va regarder pour le futur pour nos jeunes. Alors, thank you so much for inviting me today. Also, as I close, I'll be introducing a good friend, and it was a pleasure to be working with Jeff Labonté, the Assistant Minister Deputy of Natural Resources Canada, as our Parliamentary Secretary. Jeff has a wealth of knowledge and expertise and has provided leadership in the mining industry over his career. So I welcome Jeff here today to say a few words. Jeff is also served as Director of the General Energy Safety Branch and also Director of Petroleum Resources Branch and Energy Sector of Natural Resources Canada. Natural Resources Canada has been a partner with many of you, and NRCan is actively involved, and Mica actively involved in all the natural resources development in Canada. So thank you again for being here. Un grand merci d'être ici. Continuez le travail, les partenariats avec l'industrie, avec le gouvernement, avec le secteur privé. And I really look at the future, not only developing a network across Canada, but also how does this tie in to South Africa, Latin America, Australia, European countries, all across the world. I know the people, the expertise at the table that are here today, you're going to make it happen. Thank you for making this happen, and thank you for being here and hosting this event. Merci. Thank you. Miigwech.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you, and thanks, Marc, for the kind introduction. Merci beaucoup à tous pour l'occasion de vous parler ce matin. Let me begin by saying thanks to Sherry and Doug and Charles and all of those who have worked really hard to see Mica to its fruition. We know, like anything that is important and worth doing, it takes time, but it also takes perseverance and collaboration and a lot of hard work. Merci à vous pour vos efforts aujourd'hui puis pour l'avenir avec le réseau. Certainly, we're excited at NRCan to be part of the launch of Mica and to participate and to contribute. And as Mark said, our work continues to work within the mining sector, the innovation sector, and working to build bridges and connect people and to contribute to the efforts. But of course, those efforts are really about the work that you do and the work that the network will build and all of the opportunity that will come from it. We know that Mica was supported, and as many will know, that was supported by a $40 million investment from the Strategic Innovation Fund. And certainly that's a starting point, but by no means is that the end. It is the beginning of how a network can collaborate and build out with private sector and partners in university and academic institutions and around the world to build a better future and to build new companies and opportunities. We also want to take the time to think about how we've got here and where we need to go. And building bridges is a great analogy to think through that. Si on parle de l'occasion de rejoindre et de connecter quelque chose, on parle de un processus puis un autre processus, to look at one thing and looking to connect to another, whether that's the past and the future, or whether that's the opportunity and seizing that opportunity and making it a reality. So from this perspective, the network is a good analogy and a good opportunity to make those things make a difference. At NRCan, we've been working with the innovation community for quite some time. We've learned, we've contributed, and we hope to continue to do so as we move forward. We recently have launched a Crush It Challenge, which accelerated the development of technologies and looking at reducing energy forms and energy use in the crushing and the management of moving materials and minerals. What we've learned from the challenge is something that the network has embraced from the beginning, and that's that collaboration and building an ecosystem involves connecting people and places, activities and opportunities, and seizing those. From our experience, we'll be sharing those on the board and through the work that happens in the network. Most importantly, Mica connects people, and we heard from the video about the vast, diverse nature du Canada et l'activité qui se passe dans quelques régions du Canada, si on parle de l'Ouest, le centre du Canada, Québec, ou Atlantique. The network is vast, and so is our country, as we've heard. Building broader innovation networks will lead to increased integration and adoption of green mining, new technology transfers both within and beyond the sector, and connecting and bridging both experts and SMEs that aren't from the mining sector with the mining sector to look at new technologies and new transfers, and accelerating commercialization, growing the economy and growing jobs throughout Canada. We know as well l'extension de la recherche et le développement pourrait extender aussi l'opération de la mine au Canada et de maintenir et de supporter des emplois. En même temps, il pourrait créer de nouvelles compagnies canadiennes qui pourraient agrandir leur emploi et les revenus pour le Canada. Mica will also play an important role in terms of supporting SMEs beyond just the commercialization aspects of the technology, but in terms of business development, about connecting to clean tech sector partners and other communities in the industrial sectors. Most important is the importance of the work as the mining sector is facing its biggest opportunity in quite some time. That opportunity to seize and grow demand for mining techniques, mining materials, and mining commodities as we transition and transform our economy towards a net zero future. We know that critical minerals and mineral wealth of Canada will help change the world in this direction, and that opportunity is one that the mining sector is more than ready to capture and seize. The focus on using less energy, the focus on looking at fewer emissions, and looking at innovation to reduce environmental impacts are important areas where commercialization and opportunities are there to be had. We at NRCan are working to support this as well through our CanMet Mining, partnering with other companies, other research institutes, all working to focus on environmental liabilities, reducing the costs and the social waste from mining operations and activities. As I close, just wanted to return to the bridge and to the comment about connecting and about bridging people, places, and opportunities. And I hope that the network will grow itself to do so. We're excited to be part of it, and we're happy to be here today for the launch, but more importantly, to look at what the future will bring through the work of the network and all of its partners. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thanks both Mark and Jeff for those encouraging remarks. We also think that Mica is vitally important to not only the mining industry, SMEs, but of course to all of Canada, as you both outlined. Now I'd like to play a short video message from the CEMI board chair. Marianne Manichuk unfortunately could not participate with us today. However, she did want to include an important message.
Good morning, bonjour, Annie. Welcome everyone. My name is Marianne Manichuk, and I'm very pleased to be here as the chair of the board of the Centre for Excellence in Mining Innovation, CEMI. I'm even more pleased to be with all of you as we come together for the launch of CEMI's Mining Innovation and Commercialization Accelerator, Mica Network. Mica is a national network with 6 main partners across Canada, from BC to Newfoundland, from the north to the south, from universities and colleges to business developers, all supporting the extraction of every metal and mineral commodity Canada has to offer. Innovation for mining has never been more important than it is today, and we all know that the most innovative segment of the economy are the small to medium enterprises. Mica will focus on helping these SME companies to grow and expand by delivering new technologies to electrify the economy and reverse climate change. Mining is fundamental to producing more of the energy, metals, and minerals we need to make possible this green transition to a low-carbon economy and to do it more sustainably. I am sure that in the future, this will be seen as a very auspicious day in the history of mining in Canada and the start of something new in the global mining industry. Stay well and stay safe. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
Now I'd like to ask Douglas to come up to present an overview of CEMI and Mica.
Very good, thank you, Sherry. We moved on to the slides. There we go. There we go. So this is just an overview of why CEMI, why Mica, and why now. And this is where CEMI began. In 2007, we were created by the 2 major mining companies in Sudbury. At that time, they were Inco Limited and Xstrata. And although those companies had been investing for many decades in research and development, very seldom had any of those results created solutions that they could use in their operations. And they recognized the gap was in the innovation gap. And so we were quickly moving forward into that space. Over the last 12 years, we've had a track record of managing national programs. We've leveraged over $114 million over those 12 years, multiple projects in different countries with different universities. And our largest program was the Ultra Deep Mining Network, which I'll talk about in a second. We were actually established with these first 4 technical mandates, and we very quickly recognized we had to move on from those to what we call the mining innovation niche, which makes a distinction between research, which creates new knowledge, and innovation, which creates new businesses. And that set us in the middle of that TRL scale from numbers 4 to 8 to move projects through, successful research projects through into the marketplace. That's our role. We also wanted to focus on creating relatively large-scale changes to the industry, not 5–10% improvements, but double or triple the performance, or half the cost, or 1/3 the cost, or some combination of those two things. And for us to do that, we knew that we had to rely on the SME-based innovations and commercialization in the mine, service, and supply sector, but also drawing in all the other innovations in the other industrial sectors in the country. So we moved on to this current model from 2012 onwards, where we had shifted and brought in a whole business development piece, recognizing that we actually needed more business people than technical people to move into this business space. So the ultra-deep mining network was there, $15 million from the federal government and another $20 million from the private sector to create a $35 million program focused exclusively on mine production below 2.5 kilometers at depth, where it's very hot and high stresses. So regardless, when we moved on from that, the main lesson we learned from the network was, yes, technical projects will come and go. The biggest, most enduring legacy of the ultra-deep mining network was the business relationships of the 25 partners that began. They started off thinking they were all direct competitors, and eventually realized in actual fact their future lay with the same kinds of problems that they all faced, and those were the issues that have to be addressed. And they were best addressed through the network process itself. So when we moved on, we recognized that accelerating innovation and commercialization was our primary role. The technical themes that we work on will change as the industry evolves year by year by year. Those will change. What doesn't change is the emphasis on innovation and commercialization. We recognize the services that Charles provides to those SMEs to help them move forward into the business space. And finally, that brought us to where we are now with the National Mica network. Innovation for mining, which means not just mining doing the innovating, but drawing in innovation from any sector where we can find really good ideas. And that's where we are now. And that's why we're with Mica. We have our 6 main partners, as we've described, but they're going to be describing themselves very shortly, so I won't spend any time on that. We'll move on to the Mica network itself. It's based in Sudbury, Ontario, which is a city with a lot of track record in developing innovations to improve productivity, but it's also one of the best global examples of how to recover an environment damaged by industries. And what we discovered in Sudbury from that is that given just the smallest amount of help, the environment will bounce back far faster and better than we can possibly imagine. All it needs is a little bit of help to do that. Recognizing that we're funded by the ISED Department of the federal government by $40 million, but we expect another $70 million and more to come from the private sector companies that participate. We have the 6 main partners spread from British Columbia across to Newfoundland. They are not selected randomly. They're here because they can help us address every single commodity that is mined in Canada today, in every type of mining that we have in Canada today, and with the kinds of conditions that we find everywhere from the Pacific across to the provinces, the maritime provinces in the east, and the territories. What that means is we have a whole range of climatic conditions where mining has to be operating. So we have coastal rainforests, caldera conditions, semi-arid conditions in the prairie. We have the Arctic in the territories, and the subarctic taiga and the boreal forests across central Canada. We are Canada, so we don't have tropical conditions anywhere, and neither do we have fully arid conditions. But we do have colleagues and associates who worked in many countries of the world, so we know the kinds of conditions that mining companies have to cope with in these different environments, and that's a critical factor for the future. So we are based in Southern Ontario, in Northern Ontario, but our purpose, of course, is to build this network. Yes, we will have funding projects as well. That's the short-term benefit, but the long-term benefit will be with the network itself. And that's tasked with the job of increasing the number and strength of the SMEs that we have functioning in our economy. These are our technical themes that we've selected after industry consultation over the last 2 years. Increase mine productive capacity at lower cost, reduce mining energy consumption and greenhouse gas emissions, of course, implement smart autonomous mining systems to make all those things happen, and also reduce the environmental risk and liabilities associated with mine tailings. We actually have targets for these things. We think the continuous and autonomous production systems will be faster, cheaper, and will function for longer through the shift, producing more ore. That's our objective. We have to do that with less energy, and autonomous vehicles are designed from the very beginning to be low-energy vehicles and highly productive vehicles. It also allows us to introduce selective ventilation into the deep, hot underground mines that we have. All of those things, autonomous systems will demand machine-to-machine communications far more rapid and far more accurate than human communications. Anytime you've been on a phone call, you understand exactly how that can be confused. Same thing is true for Zoom. And it also means that we apply those systems to both production and to environmental waste management systems. And finally, yes, if we separate our benign products in our tails from the toxic hazardous material that we have in the tail, we can get to net zero, and we can have earlier social license, which allows mines to open much faster than they do today. Altogether, those things come together and say we need a lower cut-off grade to create more ore from the mineralizations that we have, accelerate mine opening, and help fuel the green transition. This is why it's critical now, is we need, climate change is now the driver of innovation in the economy. We know that we need to have electrification, and we know that we need all the energy metals, strategic and critical, to help fuel that electrification. And the mining industry has to be transformed in order to meet that future demand. Here's a graph from McKinsey, just showing the kinds of plan that the scientists have laid out for us beginning in 2020 so that we move forward. In 10 years, we've reduced the amount of carbon dioxide that we emit into the atmosphere, and it reduces about 7.5% per year, and then it eases off to 4% per year for the next 20 years. I myself have never managed to meet a deadline on that kind of plan. I don't do a lot of work at the beginning and then less work at the end. If anything, it's the other way around. The best I can hope for myself and for everybody else is a uniform decline. Unfortunately, what we heard from COP last week is the chances are the energy systems and the mining systems will not be able to cope with that and will give us a target that's higher than the one we would want. But we can actually have an answer for this. And there's another big problem we have, which is the copper supply for electrification. The CRU in London has identified that we actually have a supply-demand gap of 15 million tonnes by 2035, when we actually need more copper, not less. So we absolutely have a solution, a problem to solve. Here's another graph from one of the other consultants, and it just shows exactly the same problem with the Tier 1 deposits. Yes, if we find a Tier 1 copper deposit tomorrow, it will take between 15 and 20 years before that deposit produces any copper into the economy. So that doesn't help us between now and 2035. The only solution for 2035 is that green blob at the top, which are possible projects that are sub-economic at the present time, and we need productivity innovations in order to bring those projects into operation. And they add up to about 13 million tonnes, which is almost cancelling out the loss that we project into the future. This will help us get to 2035. We still have to get past that, and there's a lot more work to be done in the future to produce all the copper and all the other metals we need, like nickel, cobalt, lithium, etc., for the long-term future of this transition. It's the most dramatic transition and the fastest transition that the Earth has ever seen in the next few years. So to go back to our graph from McKinsey, the other alternative for us is actually to focus our attention on producing more carbon dioxide absorbing solutions, like reforestation, not just stopping deforestation, but starting reforestation and revegetation. As we all know, this is typically what we see as the final result of a mining operation open pit. We leave this behind, and that's just the way it has been done in the past. But there are examples in the world that we need to follow and makes it look like this. And if we do this, we actually install, through our autonomous systems, by cleaning the tailings and cleaning the effluent, we can actually create permanent solutions that look like this and produce the kind of vegetation that absorbs the carbon dioxide from the economy. So that's our industry, not just producing the metals that we need, but also producing the carbon dioxide absorption that we need for the future. So in the short term, we have to get to 2035. We have to make sure that we produce all the metals that we need to make that transition happen. and then we have to work for the long-term future with that. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and hand it back to Charles, who will move you on to the next stage of the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Douglas. Okay, some of my slides to cue. Can you go back 2 slides, please? One more. Okay, thank you. Okay, I just want to maybe start off by stating back some of the words that Jeff said. You know, connecting people, places, and opportunities is really what Mica is all about. I think we all know, you know, words like existential threat, right? But I think what we have before us is an existential opportunity for mining to actually be, you know, the connector that bridges that gap that we need to hit to transition to a low-carbon economy. Mica's vision is about connecting regional mining clusters to cross-sector innovation centers across the country to create a national network to commercialize innovations into the mining industry and to use the Canadian advantage of SME-based innovations to create a national technology ecosystem. Mica's mission to build a national ecosystem as a network of collaborative and regional networks to accelerate the number and scale of Canadian SMEs engaged in mining, to commercialize new late-stage high-impact mining technologies, to create regional networks and rapidly increase domestic and export sales, and to help attract SMEs to invest for scaling up to participate in global supply chains. And I wanted to read the vision, the mission kind of verbatim, because it's something that we want to be able to resound throughout the entire ecosystem. When we went out looking for main partners, it was actually quite fun to do it because we came to realize that if we were truly to tap into the innovation ecosystem in Canada, we had to find strategic partners across Canada who had their boots on the ground to be able to tap into those innovations that are happening within their own areas. So we did just that. We went across the country, all the way from BC to Newfoundland, and identified hubs of activities that could actually enable that to happen. So these main partners were selected because they have access to the innovations happening in their own backyards. But more importantly, they have access to innovations that are beyond just the mining innovations. They've got access to those innovations that are coming from the other sectors of the economy. One of the requirements that we have for the main partners is that they support and host network activities within their own regions, and also to participate in activities that are happening across the country. We also require the main partners to do ecosystem mapping of their own regions so that we can have a better understanding on how the innovation ecosystems are running at the regional level, which is something that we don't have. What we've discovered is that there's a big disconnect between what's happening in Newfoundland, in British Columbia, in terms of the awareness level of the innovations. And so through Mica and through mapping the ecosystems, we're going to be able to make those connections. We also require each main partner to have somebody from the organization be on the CEMI board. So the CEMI board has been revitalized with more members that represent Canada. We've also requested main partners to help us to identify new Mica subscribers. So these are the people that are going to be participating in the Mica initiative, Mica network. And main partners have also been requested to help us to achieve the Mica KPIs as per our agreement with ISED. When you look at the map of Canada, I think you can quickly see that these main partners are touching almost every single province in Canada. But you will observe that British Columbia is also able to service the Yukon, and through Alberta and Saskatchewan, we're able to work with people in the Northwest Territories. And also we see Saskatchewan as being able to work with the ecosystem in Manitoba. Ontario, Quebec, right above all of us is Nunavut. So we're also able to work with that region. And then when you go to Newfoundland and Nova Scotia with the College of the North Atlantic, you'll see that we're able to also service New Brunswick. So Mica is truly a national network. Never been done before for mining, so this is definitely a first. In terms of network activities for Mica are going to be regional and also national. So we want to make sure that in each province and each region, events are being held at the grassroots level to connect the ecosystem. We also see these network activities having a lot of cross-sector engagement, and we also see activities being technology-specific. As Douglas mentioned, those 4 technical areas of interest, we see activities being done specifically around those areas. So is the working groups as well. We'll have working groups that are subject matter related. We're also going to have a lot of technology showcases where we're going to be showing off our Made in Canada innovations. There'll be attendance to trade shows, conferences. PDAC is coming soon, so expect all the main partners to come back again for PDAC. And we also want to participate in CIM in Vancouver coming up next year, and also AME Roundup happening in British Columbia as well early in 2022. Through our partners like Mars, we're going to do things like demo days, pitch days, and there'll be custom events, which will include things like training events, and we will also have webinars. We're going to have lots of webinars. I think for all of you who know me, you know that I love doing webinars, so we're going to have a lot of those happening around the country, showcasing all kinds of technologies. Mica is also going to offer commercialization services, but I want to pause for a moment here to say that, look, if you are an organization that already provides some commercialization support services, Mica wants to work with you. We're by no means going to duplicate what you're doing. We want to complement what you're doing. And in fact, we want to bring you more business. Mica is going to be that ultimate connector. Some of the commercialization services we'll do will include things like commercialization and readiness assessments, where we're going to take a deep dive in assessing a company to really understand where their strengths and weaknesses are in their ability to commercialize. We'll also assist with doing things like evaluations for technologies. There's going to be tons of knowledge and technology transfer, because that's one of those missing things that's one of those things that exist in the commercialization valley of death, is the lack of knowledge and connectivity. We'll also do introductions to end users. We are also going to help with funding support, things like export development, connecting with organizations that already do export development, like Mine Connect, for example, and other organizations, Mining NL in British Columbia, in Newfoundland, and MSA VC in BC. I could name all of them across Canada. And we're also going to do a lot of partnerships and case studies as well. The network that Mica is going to work with is truly representative of the entire Canadian innovation ecosystem. And I want to, again, just remind everybody, there's something that we call mining innovation, and then we also something that we call innovation for mining. So the network that Mica is tapping into is the innovation ecosystem that can then bring those technologies into the mining industry. And these are the segments of those ecosystems. So please, if you see your organization, it fits into one of those boxes. And so we want to partner with you to accelerate innovation into the Canadian mining industry and also into the global industry. If you're a mining operator, if you're Glencore, if you're Vale, if you're Teck, if you are Agnico Eagle, or if you're Kirkland Gold, or I Am Gold, all those big operators, here are benefits for you for Mica. You're going to have access to early adoption of technologies. I think I recently had the CEO of Newmont say something interesting. He said, mining cannot afford to be a fast follower anymore. Mining needs to be the one at the bleeding edge of technology adoption, and not sort of saying, well, let someone else do it and then we'll do it, right? So early adoption, demonstration sites, all of these mines out there can be demonstration sites for Mica technologies. And also, Mica is going to allow mining companies a platform to seek solutions, innovative solutions, an opportunity to participate in network events, such as working groups, and also an opportunity to access leverage funding. So there's a big group of organizations that we call innovation organizations. And some of the benefits to all the innovation organizations, which include support organizations, service and supply companies, the benefits to this huge, massive group is Mica is going to allow, again, access to leverage funding, access to market opportunities, complementary technologies, capacity building services, and also the cross-sector collaboration is going to happen within Mica. And the other piece is, although Mica has a $40 million sort of pot to work from, We know that by leveraging the private investment community, we're going to be able to bring more money to the table that can be investment to leverage even more technologies and move them forward. All right, now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first main partner presentation, and it's going to be from BRIM. Dana Coldy from BRIM is the research administrator, and she's going to be the one to give us our first presentation. Dana, please come on up. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everybody. Slides, great. Thank you, Charles. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that BRIM and the UBC Vancouver campus is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. As Charles said, I'm Dana Caudle. I'm the research administrator for BRIM, and I am happy to be here with everyone this morning to celebrate the Mica launch. I'm presenting on behalf of BRIM Director Dr. John Steen, who is unable to be here today, but I do have some words for him to share with you. Canada can be a world-class player in the development of new technologies to make mining cleaner, safer, and cost competitive. If we want to compete with the big technology centers in the USA and Europe, we have to learn to play as a team. Combining the strengths of the different businesses and institutes across the provinces is the only way we will win, and Mica can be a catalyst for that. Thank you. I'd like to start off with a bit of an introduction to our team. We have Dr. John Steen, the director, myself, the research administrator. Jean Liu is our events and relationships manager, and we've recently brought on board Clara de Alanda Arrojo, who is the mining education business developer. The Bradshaw Research Initiative for Minerals and Mining, or BRIM, is a multidisciplinary research hub at the University of British Columbia, founded through a generous donation by Dr. Peter Bradshaw in 2017. We focus on breaking down traditional research silos and generating innovative mining and exploration sector solutions. By working across the UBC campus, we have access to top minds in the fields of mining engineering, microbiology, geology, business, policy, data science, and more. It is through these connections that we can find the perfect team of researchers for the big mining challenges of today. Our mission statement reads as follows. BRIM drives transformation of the mining sector by connecting the unique insights of researchers and industry to generate solutions for the benefit of the economy, society, and the environment. At BRIM, we create top multidisciplinary teams of leading researchers, and by virtue of being at the University of British Columbia, we have access to internationally respected university expertise and experience. Through these connections, we have created 4 themes, which I'll touch on more in a moment. By joining together these top researchers on campus to break silos and to create innovative solutions to mining problems. Additionally, we've created our Mining Education Microcertificate program, which is designed to teach to the gap between technical and business decisions making in the business process. Our 4 themes that I just mentioned are the mining microbiome, sustainable mine energy systems, water stewardship, and ore body knowledge. Our microbiome theme, is led by chemical and biological engineering professor, Dr. Sue Baldwin, and this theme focuses on microbial biotechnology research, training, and knowledge translation for the mining and minerals sector to benefit society and the environment. An example of research in this theme includes using natural microbe species to remove selenium from tailings ponds. The Sustainable Mine Energy Systems theme is led by Mining Engineering Assistant Professor Dr. Ali Matisse, and this theme focuses on decarbonization of mine sites through the development, implementation, and integration of renewable energy. Examples in this theme include developing a zero-carbon mine site and carbon sequestration efforts. The Water Stewardship theme, led by Public Policy and Global Affairs and Mining Engineering Assistant Professor Dr. Nadia Koons, works to manage and reduce the risks associated with water usage in the mining industry. Additionally, they work with local communities to ensure that water at mine sites is used in a sustainable, environmentally, and community-conscious way. Finally, the ore body knowledge theme, led by Mineral Deposit Research Unit Director Dr. John Barker, is a rocks-first approach to geometallurgy and ore body knowledge research and training to create a smarter and safer minerals industry. A project in this theme aimed to improve characterization of the rock mass project for more accurate fragmentation and prediction. Other things that BRIM brings to Mica, so we have access, as I've mentioned, to some of the top researchers in fields of mining engineering, microbiology, geology, business, policy, data science, and more. This brings with it expertise and graduate students in waste management, exploration processing, and environmental footprint minimization. As well, by being a part of the University of British Columbia, we have access to the historical background in technology development. At UBC, over $600 million in research funding has been brought into the university during the 2019 and 2020 academic year alone. More than 70 million of this came from industry partners, funding over 1,400 projects. Additionally, more than 70 spin-off companies have been created through UBC projects in the 2010s, 6 in 2019 alone. Examples in mining most relevant to Mica network include Jetty and computational geoscience. We also have access to UBC's managerial, technical, and business resources, including entrepreneurship at UBC, whose mission is to enrich the educational experience of students and UBC innovators by providing them with opportunities to become entrepreneurial thinkers. I've recently launched collaboration between them and Foresight Clean Tech Accelerator Center to energize growth, focuses on energizing growth of BC's clean tech ecosystem. So kind of a nice parallel there. And additionally, by being located in Vancouver in British Columbia, we have hundreds of mining and support companies located right on our doorstep. We have existing relationships between a number of these companies, and these are existing relationships we'd like to bring to Mica in order to foster cross-Canadian mining partnerships. Here's a bit of a look at some internal and external to UBC groups that we have relationships with and would like to continue to develop with everyone here. Additionally, we have key research focuses in these areas. Biotechnology, carbon capture and clean energy, and online mining education. In biotechnology, we have key research projects currently underway using biotechnology and genomics for exploration, extraction, and remediation. And this includes expertise in flotation and separation, tailings management, mine remediation, and more. In the carbon capture and clean energy sector, we have ongoing prominent research in carbon sequestration, active net zero mine carbon emissions research beyond carbon sequestration, focusing on efficiency, renewables, storage, waste management, and more. And finally, our online mining education program, we bring experience in online microcertificates with full course management. We have a fully developed experiential ed tech platform and hope to co-brand Mica courses on technology management and mining innovation to come. Some of the values that Mica brings to BRIM and to British Columbia include new expertise and contacts. If you look across the room, look at the other partners, there's a wide range of skills and expertise that BRIM alone doesn't have, and we're very happy to partner with everybody to share all these expertise and to learn from everybody else here. Mica also brings significant research, marketing support and reach, a lot of support and guidance to our marketing efforts, and again, through all the partners in Mica, we have access to a much larger potential audience and contact base. And finally, through Mica, we are able to hire a Mica coordinator who will be able to focus on cross-Canada coordination to ensure that the relationship between BRIM and Mica grows and is successful. A little bit of a look at some of the events we have planned. So coming up in January, we're planning a biotechnology virtual event. More details should be coming out regarding this in December, so please keep an eye out. Further in the spring, we're planning a carbon capture virtual event, and then later in the year, we're planning on running some of those co-branded online education courses I mentioned. So this could include biotechnology, energy systems, and potentially entrepreneurship as well. And then more to come as Mica continues to grow and expand. We look forward to offering more events and working with everyone. Join us. As I said, we are actively looking for a Mica coordinator at the moment. This job posting is live until the 22nd. So if you're interested in working with BRIM, interested in working with Mica, please check it out. You can find out more information on our Twitter and LinkedIn pages and the UBC careers site. Thank you for listening. You can find out more about all of this at our website, brim.ubc.ca. And now please welcome Gary Fisher of Intertech Alberta.
All right, let's see how everything works then. Excellent. Right, well, good morning, everybody. And first of all, thanks to the CEMI team for giving me the opportunity to give some background on Intertech and how we plan to support the Mica network. So, in Intertech, we've been around for 100 years, which I think is quite the achievement. Over the course of that 100 years, our role hasn't really changed. We're here to support science and engineering within the province. Now that is conducted through any one of the 6 locations you can see on the left of the slide there. And from there, any one of our over 230 staff can use their experience and expertise to help their clients. We're linked to the government, however, most of our funding does come from industry, around 80%, which isn't a bad thing because it does mean you're very tuned into the needs of your clients. For the 4 main divisions we have at Intertech, the 2 mostly associated with the mining sectors are the energy division that work with natural resources, oil, gas, mining, and the environmental. So in addition to looking at environmental impacts, they're also looking at ways to utilize captured CO2. So just to focus in on some of our mining activities. Firstly, on the environmental side. So we are very active looking at the levels of environmental diversification that you have on mine sites, using tools that mean this can be conducted either remotely or simply with a team on the mine site itself. Obviously looking at environmental impacts as well. Here again, this can be anything from experiment on a laboratory bench all the way to having a team working in the field. Lots of activities looking at asset retirement. This includes the reclamation of land that's come to the end of its cycle. And as I mentioned, we're very active in looking at new ways to utilize captured CO2. So whether this is a process or a product. On the engineering side. So here we have the Mario's Consortium. So this is an industry consortium set up in 2008, focused on the surface mining of the oil sands. It's managed by Intertech, however, it's driven by industry, with the main focus being improving the reliability and the durability of equipment. Currently as members, we have the 4 oil companies that operate surface mining. So this includes Syncrude, Suncor, Imperial, and CNRL. And we have 34 companies that make and sell equipment into the mine site. In addition to this, we have a thriving international network of research agencies and companies that enable us to have the latest solutions available for any problems that industry brings to our door. Here are the 4 main areas we work in. So in each of the portfolios here, we have a number of projects. The first one, mining equipment, that's anything from haul truck tires to ground engaging tools. For the processing equipment, this tends to focus on the wear issues you get from the sizing and the processing of ore. We always have teams that focus on the corrosion issues that can be prevalent across a mine site. And then last up, we are looking at ways to improve the control of mining equipment and the processes with the design and implementation of new sensors, IIoT, etc. So the current activities we have in these portfolios, they're addressing issues that have an annual impact of around 400 million. So quite a lot of significant work to get done there. One new activity within this group is the promotion of sustainable manufacturing within the oil sands. So this is in collaboration with NGen, and it's seen as a way to support companies reaching their net zero for 2050 targets. So how this works is that we're looking to bring advanced manufacturing that's probably been developed for other sectors, but bringing it into the mining sector, and also improving the levels of repair and rebuild as well. So with that, we move away from this reliance on replacement parts, and we're also hoping to change the supply chains as well, using these new manufacturing routes, encourage people to make things here rather than importing them from wherever. So through this, with new advanced manufacturing routes, we can make equipment that will last longer. It's going to be repairable. There'll be less waste. So this helps company decrease their environmental impact and also probably increase their process efficiencies as well. So it is a win-win. Here are the 4 areas that we're mainly working on in this area. So again, with advanced manufacturing, we have ways to increase both the functionality and the longevity of equipment. With sustainable materials, now we're not just looking at using recyclables here. There's a number of niche materials that are vital for the production of mining equipment. However, there are issues with supply and cost, and we're seeing more and more of that. So here we're looking at alternatives that will work at the same level, but they don't have the same issues with availability and price. So there is a big drive there. And again, as mentioned, if we can improve the control of mining processes, there'll be more control and less waste. And improving the options and effectiveness for the repair and rebuild of equipment. So by working in these 4 areas, we should be able to achieve some significant environmental impacts in the mining sector. So, how do we plan to support the Mica network? Well, essentially it's sharing all the experience we've earned through working in the oil sands surface mining area, sharing that with the mining sector as a whole, and then working as a team in these areas of engineering with new ways to produce parts, making them with more sustainable materials, and on the environmental side, looking at impacts, asset retirement, and also how to utilize captured CO2. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here for Innertech to partner with the Mica members and make some significant impacts in the industry. On the regional level, similar to the activities that Bryn announced, we'll have workshops and training available in the new year. That's available to all Mica members, so please pay attention to any emails that come around, and we hope to see you there. So with that, thanks for the opportunity of giving an overview of our activities. I'm really looking forward to see what we can do as a team. And now I'll pass the mic over to Paul Labb at Saskatchewan Polytechnic.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here today on behalf of Sask Polytech. If you can allow me just a second, I got to figure out how to work this gizmo. I'm Paul LeBay. I'm the Mining Research Chair at Sask Polytech and the Regional Mica Program Coordinator. I guess today I added Northwest Territories, so Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Northwest Territories. That's wunderbar, I love it, thank you. Green arrow, guys? Yep. Okay, so I want to acknowledge that at Sask Polytech we are actively working in Treaty 4, Treaty 6 areas and the homeland of the Métis. Sask Poly is actually one of 13 polytechs in Canada and the only one in Saskatchewan. We're one of the larger premier schools in Saskatchewan. We've campuses in the 4 major cities, Saskatoon, Regina, North Battleford, Prince Albert, and just for example, we have 11 facilities just in Saskatoon alone, so it's a big program. We've got 199 formal courses as well as a whole slate of trade programs that go on, and we graduate in the last couple of years, just about 15,000 students, and 2,500 plus of those have included Indigenous students in our programs. We've got a pretty flexible response to industry in terms of our applied research. Our core business is training and education, and we utilize or leverage applied research solving industry problems to get a hands-on experience for the students. We've got 5 applied research centers that I'll try and run through here, and we've seen an 877% increase in funding and work over the last 6 years in our applied research program. Okay, so fitting within the Mica goals and objectives, there are 4 main themes. And looking at who our partners are, we've dug out 4 themes of our own to focus on. Digital transformation, reliability and maintenance, which to us is including Internet of Things, automation, and process productivity improvement, supply chain development and management to bring in our management schools. And our work is focused on helping in this program, helping and sharing within the network as well as learning from the network. So why we chose to be part of the Mica network in Saskatchewan. In order to continue growing and inventing new industries, we consider that one of our themes. We feel that we need to also learn and accept, integrate ideas from other innovators in other areas. We believe that quicker, smarter, and more efficient adaptations can come from networking, collaborating, and learning from the outside world. We also get that from actual experience that we need a proof test, and it's often required to take these ideas from some of our really cool, quirky ideas to being a smart innovation. That process works better with reviews by others, outside reviewers. Not everything we do is quirky. All of these goals can be realized with networking, more easily with networking in the most effective ecosystem, and we'll say Mica today. We have great ideas to bring to the rest of Canada, we feel. We can provide our unique cross-industry networking and collaborations to the rest of Canada, and we have big hearts and work hard to be open-minded. So a couple slides just on the uniqueness of Saskatchewan, or at least what we think is. Saskatchewan's a young province with a small population and a really large geography for the population especially, about 1.2 million people there. We're greatly blessed with outstanding mineral resources, a big sky, interesting weather, especially if you saw the weather last night, and agile, flexible people who know how to learn and innovate. Our love of the land, our rivers, our respect for and interest in our original Indigenous peoples and their traditions inspire us to constantly improve ourselves. We are home to a strong tradition of inventions, originality, and it's historically been related to creating a high volume farming industry, but includes oil and gas, strong industry there, and mining. For example, a lot of technology, especially in the mechanical engineering areas, have been transitioned across from farming and farm equipment manufacturing into a solid manufacturing base for mining equipment, including the culture and the industry that goes through. Saskatoon has a group called CIMSA we engage with that has over 325 self-declared mining manufacturing suppliers. Second slide on our uniqueness is a modern, efficient, global potash mining industry has been invented there and is well underway since the mid to late 60s. We only managed to flood out one mine in the early days in the 50s, so I started in the 60s here. We created a full cycle uranium industry in the 30s, and that's ongoing. We're probably the world's premier or second supplier of uranium in any given year. We also have precious minerals like gold, along with strong base minerals and base metals and energy metals are being pursued currently. Our rare earth metals, diamonds, lithium exploration are ongoing and in early phase production in some cases in Saskatchewan, and we've identified viable new claims of copper, iron ore, and more. We'll keep some of that quiet until we get a little further down the road. Per capita, our exports are one of the biggest in Canada, so we self-declared that as a landlocked province, a huge province, that's a really significant sign of a strong transportation industry and the hard work and innovation that had to go into creating and supporting that. Early works in electrification, autonomous vehicles, alternate energy are underway in Saskatchewan, and our energy systems combined with leading supply chain management systems can help the world with decarbonization from Saskatchewan. So I'll run through a few of our centers here. I'll have to skip over some of the details, so I'll leave it to you to either read or catch up on the recording. In terms of applied research centers, I wanted to emphasize today, we have what we call Digital Integration Center of Excellence, or DICE. We also highlight a Center for Health Research, Improvement and Scholarship, we call CRIS. We all have employees we need to deal and be concerned with and understand their health. We've got an overarching group called SLICE, which is about sustainably led integrated centers of excellence. And there's a list of folks there that I'll run through next. Our innovative manufacturing crew is very strong. We actually have work in 2 centers, physical centers. We've got a research in additive manufacturing prototype facility, IMC Ramp in Saskatoon. Holds Saskatchewan's premier 3D printing facility. It's got capacity to print more than 25 different materials, including metals. We've got the capacity to print large commercial parts, and if anybody knows Saskatchewan, we've got a history of aerospace applications here as well, and we're new into sintering and resistance furnaces, especially around metals and including maybe the generation of new technology around SMR fuels. Our second IMC facilities in Regina, they're more biomaterials based. We call that BTAP. They offer bioplastic production and expertise, including both injection and rotation molding. They analyze and improve innovative materials, processes, systems, and machinery for manufacturing of bio-based materials such as bioplastics. Custom prototype production activity can be held there as well. Given some of my introduction and the issues folks deal with in the environmental side, we have a world-renowned and internationally acclaimed environmental research center at Hannon Creek in northern Saskatchewan in the Boreal Forest. It's recognized by the United Nations for its role in addressing UN Sustainability Development Goal SDG 15, which is life and land to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. I haven't seen time flagging me off yet, but I'll breeze through some of these. We have very similar to what UBC and Alberta mentioned already. We've got a strong bio group under the BARC Research Center in Saskatoon, which have scientific capabilities and facilities and equipment in molecular bioanalytical instrumentation, agriculture bio, biochem, microbiology, analytical chemistry. Back to the DICE group, are very strong in what they call data integration, data integrity, data analysis, and data storage, dealing mostly with the problems around asset management and monitoring, time-sensitive networking, mesh communication and control, especially wireless underground, Internet of Things, and cybersecurity. Okay, and then the slice, I'm going to slip through, but this is where we package all our different 191 colleges plus change into usable, useful research teams that address actual industry problems. A little more detail on how SLICE works. Some of our regional innovation partners that we're very proud of, we want to recommend to the rest of the network, include Saskatchewan Research Council, University of Saskatchewan, University of Regina, Prairie Agricultural Machinery Institute, very focused around manufacturing and manufacturing systems, called PAMI, our Canadian Light Source Synchrotron with CLS, and International Minerals Innovation Institute, and as I mentioned, many others like CIMSA and more, and the Fedoric Center of Nuclear Innovation and Innovation Saskatchewan. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. So I wanted to introduce Jisan Ali and his partner Lee Perry from Toronto. I'll let them tell you the rest.
Welcome. Very excited to be here today and talk to everyone about Mars. We're actually going to start with the video, and to preface the video, it's anchored on a marquee conference that we will be hosting at Mars in a few weeks, but it just provides a glimpse of the conversations we engage in within the ecosystem at Mars, and provides a flavor of how Mars is going to play an active role as part of the Mica network.
What you're going to hear about today is not something that could, maybe happen in 50 years. We're not talking about fantasy.
There are very hopeful solutions out there for the challenges that we have.
The world and our country is facing some of the most difficult situations we've seen in generations. It'll take all of us to build a more resilient Canada.
Canada is first in the world in clean tech R&D and innovation. This is a critical time for the industry, and we cannot take our foot off the accelerator. We actually need to pick up the pace.
Companies which have been focused on more than just shareholders but trying to take a stakeholder view of society have done much better under COVID than those who haven't.
Call me crazy, but I think a well-functioning economy should be able to feed the children and house the citizens and get people jobs where they're not at serious risk of serious injury.
We made the economy up. We can make it up differently.
Everything we do should be about how we improve life here on Earth for everyone.
Great. And so that we'll start the presentation. So just starting with a few introductions, my name is Zishan. I lead our business development function at Mars, and my role is focused on driving partnerships, building up the ecosystem, both here locally in Toronto, across the country in Canada, and globally as well. My colleague Leah Perry will also be presenting with me today. She's a manager in the venture services team, and she works very closely with our clean tech ventures. So we want to start off with who is Mars. So Mars is one of the largest innovation hubs in North America, and our purpose is to help innovators change the world. We are a private nonprofit, we're a registered charity, and so we're driven by impact from a venture perspective and from an overall climate economy view as well. We support roughly 1,400 ventures or startups in our network, and Mars's mission is to help build their businesses, support their growth, not only here in Canada, but globally as well. And when we speak about innovators, it is not only the ventures that we support, it's also the partners that we engage with as well. So we work with private sector organizations, public sector organizations as well, and philanthropy and foundations is a critical piece of our ecosystem that we support from an innovation perspective. As I mentioned, we're the largest innovation hub in North America. We're about 10 minutes north from here in the downtown core, and we have roughly 1.5 million square feet of space. That space is comprised of offices, research labs, and space for our ventures as well. Roughly 100 of our 1,400 ventures reside within the campus. Secondly, we have about 150 tenants within the building. These tenants are large tech companies. The University of Toronto has quite a big presence, and we engage with these organizations from an ecosystem perspective. And lastly, from a venture perspective, the work we've done with our startups have created some positive impact in the economy as well. So our ventures in 2020 alone have recognized roughly $1.5 billion in revenue, raised roughly $2.4 in capital, and employ roughly 22,000 individuals, primarily in the GTA, but across Canada as well. So this slide just speaks to peeling the onion of who Mars is. Mars is a launch pad for startups and a home to innovators. And at the center of what we do is to support our venture and startup ecosystem. We provide them access to talent, access to capital through the networks that we have, and access to markets, which are essentially customers for these ventures. We operate in 5 core sectors at Mars as well. And the work we do around our ventures enable us to gather that insight and engage with organizations, engage with corporates to validate some of the technologies that are actually being captured in market. Thirdly, community engagement is absolutely critical to what we do at Mars. As a private nonprofit, we play a neutral role in engaging in conversations around tech areas, around impact-driven initiatives, and just a feeler of conversations that we're having active in our community. As an example is the future of hydrogen and the role it'll play in Canada. And then lastly, social impact and philanthropy is absolutely critical to support the innovation ecosystem here in Canada. And we are pushing the boundaries around topics of interest for organizations and ventures as we see the world evolve. So technology for good, business for purpose is absolutely critical to how we will evolve our ecosystem and where we see the world going as well. I'll pass it on to my colleague, Leah, who will speak to our venture ecosystem in a bit more depth.
Awesome, thanks, Ishan. So as a thought leader in the technology ecosystem, Mars understands the net zero transition opportunity for the mining sector. As many clean technologies are mineral intense, mining's not gonna go anywhere. So that's why Mars is super excited to work with the Mica network to accelerate clean tech adoption, automation and digitization, and big data solutions, so we can make sure that Canada's mining industry and sector becomes increasingly environmentally sustainable. Mining companies of the future will also follow ESG, diversity, equity, inclusion, and work with their local communities to better those lives. And we truly believe that the Mica network not only can help accelerate these trends that we're seeing here, but also working together overcome some of the obstacles that will inevitably come up. So to put these trends just a bit more into perspective, I wanted to highlight 3 of the ventures that Mars already works with and helps them with some of the services that we did describe. So first, really highlighting that trend of clean tech adoption, kind of a superstar in the mining industry, Novamera with their precise sustainable mining drilling solution. The second one, Rockmass, which is a women-led business, really illustrating the importance of data. So mapping out underground mines to be able to save costs, improve efficiency, and improve safety for workers as well. And finally, Symboticware, which really shows that trend of automation and digitization through their IoT platform. They are also a Mars IAF funded company, which is a VC fund affiliated with Mars Discovery District. So located in Toronto, we are the Mica partner for Ontario, and really situated in our role in the middle of the innovation economy. We are super excited to be able to work with the network to ensure that mining companies within the clean tech sector get the access to the commercialization and scale-up services that they require to move the industry forward. Mars's corporate solutions allow mining companies to succeed in the climate economy, making sure that Canada rests top of in the sector globally. So with this, moving forward, we're super excited to work with the mining sector and the Mica network, utilizing kind of our unique skill sets of bringing innovation and impact. So thank you for your time. And I believe I will now be passing it off to Hélène from La Groupe Mica.
Bonjour à tous. C'est un honneur aujourd'hui d'être présente avec vous. So I will present you the group MISA, the Mining Innovation into the Mining Innovation Commercialization Accelerator. So we're part of the Quebec Mining Cluster, and we've mentioned it before. We have a vast country, and we're covering also a vast territory for the Quebec province, and we have a lot of mines over there from everywhere over the territory, and we also have a cluster that is active on a large number of mineral sectors. So we have a lot of commodities, mainly gold, but still we're also active in the rare earths and the rare strategic and critical minerals, as few of the main partners mentioned before. So MISA means Mine Innovation, Solution and Application, which is pretty near Mica, and well, this is why we fit so well. We're a non-profit corporation, and we have a board of directors of 12 members, which is industry-driven, so we have a lot of members from industry. And one of our biggest assets is our network, our expert network, which includes over 200 experts from the mineral industry. And what is really an accomplishment is that it covers the whole mineral process. So we're pretty proud to work with all of the members of the industry. So this shows a little bit of our network. And we want to put the emphasis that is a truly collaborative industry. And we really are proud to have at least 1,000-hour men per year of participation in our activities to evaluate innovation and to make sure that we target the right innovation and to bring it to market. So it shows almost 90% of the industry in Quebec that is part of our networks. Our core competence at MISA is operational management of technological innovation. So we really deployed a service offer based on the characteristic of innovation. So we explore all the dimensions of technological innovation that is spread in 7 criteria. And those criteria are really the center of the ideation of the project. So we've split it into explanation, innovation, understanding the market, and really building the competitive advantage to those SMEs that are submitting projects to us. So, oops, sorry. Can I come back? Just one. Okay. So really, the quest of the competitive advantage is really the core, the center of our reflection, of the thinking of the project, because we really need to link the the good idea to the market and then to make it competitive. And we really want to bring this to the whole Canada and to share this best practice to make sure that we really are competitive through the Canada, throughout the world. So making sure that innovation that are bring from SMEs through Canada are really leveraged by their competitive advantage in their innovation. Just a quick view of our portfolio. So we have an average of 80 projects in our portfolio and in the whole mineral process. So as you see, there's about 36 and half of them are at the lead stage. And at this step, this is where we just cut half of them because they're not a fit. So we're making sure that we select the good ones and making sure that the good ones are making the whole process going down to the market. So since the beginning of MISA in 2007, we've brought to the mineral industry about 45 million, and just last year it was about 10 million. So it was a pretty good year, and we're proud of it. So we're in a growth mode, and we intend to keep this good speed of cruising speed. So knowing that, we want to bring some more innovation project to the market, help some more SMEs to leverage their ideas, their good ideas. And to get to do this, we've developed a process to match project with industry priorities. So we've mentioned, Doug, in the introduction, some challenges that we're targeting with the Mica network, and all of those challenges are shared by all the main partners. So to make sure that we really target those, our process is making sure that we, at the beginning, at the lead stage, have some specific tools that really help us to make sure that we help the right project at the right time and help the right company also, making sure that the competitive advantage is really on target. So this particular method is one of the things that we can bring to the Mica network and that we can share, and we're pretty happy that we can have other to help us to share this. And also into the sharing, so what we can receive also from Mica. At different step of this process, from the idea to the market, we have some specific places where Mica can really interact and really have their service proposal that can help us to leverage those ideas and those innovations, particularly in the commercial value proposition, the marketing strategy, and the commercial deployment, which are really important to making sure that the idea is really bring to the market, but still sold, and the SMEs are really leveraged by this. So, following this short presentation, I will lead you to Dr. Gary Thompson, the Director of Industry Innovation from the College of North Atlantic.
Oh, thank you for having me, and we're really excited to be part of the Mica network and having the opportunity to speak to you. And first and foremost, I'd just like to acknowledge the fact that when we and our partners are working on the island of Newfoundland, we're working on the traditional homelands of the Mi'kmaq and Beothuk peoples. And when we're working further north in Labrador, it's the homelands of the original peoples, the Innu and the Inuit. And we'd like to respectfully acknowledge their culture, the indigenous culture, and the fact that they still have and continue to have a connection to the land that we work on and live on. So the College of North Atlantic, why are we part of Mica? We bring a lot to the mining sector, we think. We're a training and a research institution. One of the big benefits that we have is our geographical distribution. We have a number of campuses located across Newfoundland and Labrador. And if you overlay a map of the mining sector, except for the Voisey's Bay, which is a fly-in, fly-out mine up in Labrador, we have a campus within half an hour's to an hour's drive of a mining or a future mining operation. So we have a close connection to the mining community. Our staff and our students are continuously talking with those mines and living in their communities. We have 600 staff and faculty on board, 7,500 full-time students who want to grow over the next few years. But more importantly, our faculty, typically all of them have worked in industry previously before they've gone to, moving over to the teaching side. And they continue to work with industry, some of them going back and forth. So we have a strong connection with the industry. One of our partners likes to say, Alan, who is from Nova Mera, when he works with the college, he has an innovation team of hundreds, not just himself and a small group. So that's where we feel the college on the geographic and the people that we can bring into it. The Office of Applied Research and Innovation, we're the outward-looking face of the college. We're connecting the expertise, the facilities we have within the college with industry and connecting people and bringing the students and faculty to work together. With our students, all of our students, the way they're being taught is changing. They're doing a lot more work with companies, work-integrated learning, and we're trying to get those students involved in more innovation projects. The lines between education and then when you work to the workforce are starting to blur. It's more interconnected now, with our students working sooner in the workforce and with our continuous learning and training opportunities, the workforce coming back to be educated. It's truly a lifelong thing. And with the innovation side, what we want to try and do with our innovation network that we established, it's like a mini Mica, but within the region, where we're connecting with companies. We literally talk to hundreds of companies a year in Newfoundland and Labrador. When you think about it, it's a small province, so we're virtually talking with everyone, finding out what their problems are, what their issues are, and we're bringing our expertise to help those problems that they have. And we're doing it, our college is divided into schools, but we do a sectorial approach, where we're bringing expertise from different areas. What you see there on the right is where we brought graphics art students that had expertise in photography in with manufacturing students to help a company with high-resolution drill core photography. So bringing those different expertises together can really help solve a problem. And because they're working in innovation, the person there in the middle, Cole, photographer, he's now doing a startup company where he's looking at bringing his expertise into new innovations. So it's really sort of building that next level of entrepreneurs and innovators. Our links to the regional ecosystem, if a company comes to us with a problem and we can't solve it, and we know what we're good at and what we're bad at, we will send them to the people we know in the region that can help them. A company recently came to us about repurposing tailings. We said, we can't help you, but RPC in New Brunswick can. So they went over and worked with RPC. We're continuing to work with them because as they move to the next level, the other service we offer is we've got a very good idea of the funding environments and can help them move on to the next levels. Our capacity in the mining sector. Over recent years, we've really built up our mobility and taking the equipment to the mine. There's not many mines in downtowns. They're all out in rural communities, so we take our equipment to them. The Hyperspectral scanning project, that instrument you see there on the right, is a great example of an industry, government, college collaboration where the government has 1.7 million metres of drill core available. They want to make it more available. How do they do it? We talked with industry. We saw that a similar problem. We approached Photon, etc., a Montreal company. They built us a custom-built core scanning system that goes from RGB all the way up to long-wave infrared. It's in a container. You can see it there. We can move it to a lab site. We can move it to where the core is. It can scan 1,000 metres of drill core a day. It's been up in IOC last year, one of our partners, in the summer, scanning thousands of metres of drill core. Then went to Northern Ontario, Agnico Eagle, scanned 1,000 metres of drill core for them, and it's now back in Newfoundland and Labrador. It arrives on one day, it's scanning the next day. With this, we also have, with the mobility that we've got now, we also have those labs and those campuses that are dotted around that companies can avail of and use. One of the things that, although we have that 600 faculty, we realise that students and faculty have their own timelines tied in with programs. So we're starting to build up our team of researchers so we can directly address industry needs. Industry doesn't work on universities and college timelines or semesters and things like that. They want the here and now. If we have a company with a problem and they want it solved in the fall, and we say we can't wait till the summer till you get a student, we're bringing on a team of researchers that can work on these problems. You heard from Helena, she's one of our latest hires from Brazil. We're stretching the net wide and far to bring people in, and we're still looking to grow this team over the coming years. So if you know of anyone that wants to move to Newfoundland and Labrador, we are open and welcoming. You know, Atlantic Canada, we're not just part of the Mica group because they wanted a C2C, right? Mining is an important factor of the Newfoundland economy and Atlantic Canada. I mean, the region's known for its beautiful scenery and typically cod, but mining has been there right from the beginning. The first Indigenous peoples mined chert for arrowheads. They traded south. On the island of Newfoundland, they quarried soapstones for bowls. So it's been there since the beginning. Our industrial mines started up in the 1800s. We have the commodities that's needed for the new green economy. Our nickel that we produce in Labrador and Newfoundland, as Vale came out, it's some of the greenest nickel on the planet. So it is there to help the green economy. The government's fully on board with mining. They see that this is the future, and it's the innovation that's going to be required. Those jobs, the employment, we see increasing by 23%. Those aren't the dangerous, dirty jobs down at the bottom of the mine. Those are going to be the high-tech jobs where the new generation is controlling the machines that are doing the dangerous and dirty work. You know, it's also that one of those 5 new mines we're hoping to come on board will be a rare earth element mine. We're working with Search up in Labrador, so that'd be great. And it's also about, looking at what we already have, how to repurpose stuff. The examples there, I think, is a great juxtaposition of the technologies. The Bell Island iron mine, when it closed down, they were using horses to cart the ore. We were back there last week. We had an autonomous drone, GPS denied, mapping those tunnels. It's a huge asset that we've got that is unknown. That there's kilometres of tunnel in there that can be used, and we're working with a local group to map them, get that information out there. And that's where we see part of this Mica network and communicating is everybody around the country can find out what assets everybody else has. Innovation Atlantic Canada, it's no surprise that it's industry driven. The college and the universities and the other research institutes are their support. The innovation is happening from industry. We're just there to help them and push things along. And on the IT sector, information technology, it's booming in Atlantic Canada. Verafin's a great example of a couple of guys working in the basement 10 years ago that were going to go into robotics, saw a need in the banking sector for security software. 10 years later, they grew this company, and there's a lot of new millionaires in Newfoundland and Labrador as of last year. The sports cars you see driving around are unreal. But it's not just the IT sector that we can use and help that grow. That it's acting as that incubator. The new generations are seeing that innovation is something we can do. We don't have to rely on outside sources to do it. Anaconda Mining, we've mentioned Nova Mera before. They're a great example of looking at a problem. In Newfoundland and Labrador, we have a lot of high-grade, low-tonnage gold deposits that are uneconomic to mine and certainly environmentally problematic to mine. They looked at the technologies available out there, looked at what the oil and gas was using, and they came up with a new way of using that technology to do sustainable mining by drilling. With that, they're creating problems, they've got issues, their downhole sensors need to be refined. We're working with them now to create a test bed out there to work on those sensors. So the growth is going. I mean, the innovation that's happening is great. The work that we're doing with the hyperspectral units is going to create a lot of data. It's amazing the amount of data that's going to be created, which is going to be publicly available, especially for the mines departments. That'll allow lots of opportunities for AI, machine learning. So, I'd like to thank everyone. And just to go back to that first slide and what Mica means, when Alan talks about he has an innovation team of hundreds and he was working with the College of North Atlantic, being part of Mica, his innovation team has grown by orders of magnitude. It's now thousands. And that's what our members will bring to it. It's not just them, it's a team of thousands across the country working on their problems and helping to find solutions. Thank you.
I'd just like to thank all the main partners for their presentations today. I think now everybody in the room and everybody on Zoom has a much better understanding of the organizations and all the complementary skills and competencies that they bring to Mica. And I also want to recognize the main partners for all of their efforts, because we haven't been doing this on our own. So they've been with us since the full application stage. And also they've been attending, we've been having weekly meetings, and they've dealt with a flurry of emails on a daily basis requesting information back and forth. So, and also especially because a lot of them traveled to be here in person, so thank you very much. I'd also like to take one quick minute before the break to acknowledge and thank Petrina Advertising. So Dave Petrina is here with us today, and Pam Tarian, who's their CEO, and their entire team in Sudbury, at their office in Sudbury, have been remarkable to work with. So they did from the branding, to the banners, to the stuff on the table, to the videos you saw. You know, anybody that's done anything like that knows that to do that in a very short period of time, I don't know how to do that stuff, so they took care of it all. They also were launching the Mica website, both official languages today, so that's another huge undertaking that they helped us. So I just wanted to say thank you to them for doing that. Now we're going to go to a quick break, so I'm going to suggest that we sort of keep the break to about 10 minutes, just because we're running a little bit behind time. And during the break, I want to acknowledge the sponsors again for our break, and also there's some sponsor material at the back, so I encourage you to go and look at any of that and chat with any of the sponsors. So we'll reconvene in about 10 minutes. Thanks.